Welcome back. This module, we're going to focus on building tension and momentum. What's my all-time favorite tension-inducing scene from a novel? It's quirky and funny, and I'll tell you in just a few minutes. But how about yours? Your heart slamming against your rib cage, your fingertips are moist, hands clammy, but you turn another page. The villain's setting a trap. You wish you could do something to prevent the hero from walking into it, but you can't. You're helpless, totally at the mercy of the author. All you can do is turn another page. We all want to write a book that grips readers this way, don't we? We want to be the authors of books that keep people up way past their bedtime and have them relishing every single word of the last few pages, happy, content, with deep satisfaction of that perfect ending. So how do we write that book? One of my current top 10 authors, Lee Child, says that's not the right question. He suggests a different approach. In this little analogy, he says the question isn't, how do you bake a cake? But rather, how do you make your family hungry? And his answer? You make them wait 4 hours for dinner. It's brilliant, right? Yes and no. When we're crafting that page-turning book, we have to know why someone would wait 4 hours when they could just go somewhere else to eat now. We have to make our readers aware of that journey and sometimes give them the inside scoop, knowledge that not even the protagonist knows. So our reader no longer is just a passerby, but now a passenger on that same train that's headed toward the same collapsed bridge, trying to pull all of the pieces together and irresistibly waiting page after page, scene after scene, chapter after chapter for that payoff. Establishing tension in your story is as easy as dropping a hint that doesn't get fulfilled right away, and not by a long shot. Let's look at a similar storyline and explore for a moment how different genres would treat that, even from page 1. Okay, the crisis we're going to work with for now is going to be the assassination of the President of the United States. In a mystery novel, we find out the President dies in the first chapter, and then the rest of the book is going to focus on that government agent who's charged with finding the killer and bringing him to justice. That same storyline in a suspense novel, an intercepted communique or a bungled weapons drop takes place in the first chapter, which alerts the White House of the imminent presidential threat of assassination. This time, the government agents are charged to protect the president while tracking down the would-be assassin. The story is going to climax at the point where the assassination attempt is thwarted. A nonfiction treatment of the same story would be historical. Everybody knows whether the president lives or dies. So we have to tell that story through the significant people and events that lead up to the assassination attempt. If it's a thwarted attempt, the climax is going to be that takedown scene, like suspense. But in a successful attempt, the climax is the search for the killer and the subsequent prosecution, more like a mystery. In other book genres, the use of crisis still drives the plot forward. In a romance novel, maybe the woman discovers her fiancé has been cheating. In a Western, bandits have robbed nearby towns and are on their way to Dodge City, your town, next. In general fiction, a group of women might have to meet in secret to discuss taboo literature. Or in other kinds of nonfiction, the reader is missing out on something right up to the point until he learns whatever the skill is you have to offer. Okay, the next important element of establishing tension in your book is letting your reader know what's at stake and who says so. In a mystery novel, the protagonist has to solve the crime before it's too late. You as a writer can use multiple characters' point of view to give insight, but never from the antagonist's mind, since that person's identity has to remain hidden. In suspense, you as the writer can use multiple point of view characters to give insight, including the antagonist, so that you present both the good guys and the bad guys' motivations to the reader. That can make it even more tense if you find yourself sometimes rooting for the bad guy. In nonfiction, the clock is ticking for everyone involved. A central character or victim, the heroic characters, and the villain. You as the writer have to keep the focus only on those people who contribute and the events that lead to the work's ultimate goal. Irrelevant stories, no matter how interesting, you have to keep that out or to a bare minimum. Here are some steps to building tension into your story right away. First of all, you have to create a really good hero. Your reader has to believe in and care about the hero. When the protagonist discovers fire is in his path, you need to turn up that heat on multiple burners so your reader never comes off the boil. Second, you need a really good villain. The ultimate antagonists are smart and motivated and worthy of their hero. The reader has to believe in and fear that person. Third, give your reader foresight. Tension builds when the reader has a self-imposed fear, knowing there's that collision course with disaster coming up. Your reader needs to know some elements before your hero. Fourth, use time constraints. The hero is working against the clock. Every minute that elapses puts the reader in a hotter seat. 5. Create anticipation. Tell us in Chapter 3 that an important dinner is going to take place in Chapter 4. Tell us not only that this dinner will occur, but why it matters. Once you've established tension, that water in your pot's starting to boil, your job is to keep it boiling through momentum. Here are some tips to turn up the heat, not just maintain it. Keep the stakes high. The looming crisis should be devastating to the hero's world. The hero has to be willing to do whatever it takes to prevent that from occurring. Apply pressure. Your hero should be working under what seems to be insurmountable odds. All the skills and strengths have to be stretched to breaking point in order to save the day. Your hero should bend, but never break. The only person you want to leave feeling helpless in your story should be your reader. Then, create dilemmas. The villain has to put obstacles in your hero's way. Awkward challenges, lose-lose choices that will test your hero's mettle. The villain, by nature, will cross lines without a second thought. But your hero can't let innocent people die without a fight or stray from his morals or his promises. You have to complicate matters. Give your hero more things to do than she can handle. Be unpredictable. Nothing should run perfectly to plan. Your hero shouldn't be able to rely on anything going right. Every step forward comes at a price. The villain shouldn't go unscathed either. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. This is Newtonian physics, and you can use outside characters to do this. Friends, neighbors, delivery men, public holidays, Mother Nature. And to create super high tension scenes, use short sentences and lots of white space to speed up the read. Short, choppy sentences with active verbs signal tension to your reader. Think of the text mirroring your protagonist's racing heart. Long, meandering sentences filled with adjectives and adverbs imply a relaxed pace. You have to vary the format of your text with short sentences that will shoot tension up to the top of that scene. You can also use dialogue. The way you craft conversations between characters can effectively elevate tension in subtle or overt ways. If your hero wants something from the other character, but doesn't want that character to know, there's underlying tension that seems innocent in conversation. Maybe another character wants information from your hero who has to sidestep the issue. Or your dialogue can be openly confrontational. Any way around it, this exchange pushes the story to your next plot point. And finally, once you've driven your hero and your villain and your reader to that very edge of the cliff of doom, it's time for your climax scene. We usually think of climax as one single explosive event. While that's true to a degree, the climax of a novel actually has 4 components. There's the run-up to that climactic moment, some last-minute maneuvering to put all the pieces into their final position. Then there's the main character's moment of truth, some sort of inner journey that the whole story has been moving toward. Next, that climactic moment itself. Here's where your hero directly affects the outcome. And then, the immediate results of that climactic moment. Maybe the villain is vanquished, but the roof is still collapsing. So I want you to have a look at your own current manuscript now. And remember, regardless of your book's genre, your reader wants to feel compelled to keep reading. Otherwise, they wouldn't have picked up your book in the first place. Your job is to build tension, then keep the momentum, and deliver that stunning climax and resolution. Don't get overwhelmed. At whatever point you've reached in your writing right now, I want you to dive into any page and look for ways in which you can drop hints that let the reader know something significant is coming up later. Whatever you do, don't explain that hint right away. It's no fun at all that way. Like trying to teach a pig to sing. It's a waste of your time and it annoys the pig. Remember, it's all about the tease. Wait for it. Wait for it. Okay, are you ready to hear my all-time favorite tension-inducing scene? I want you to flip over to the next video where I'm going to unleash it on you right away. I tell you now, but that would just spoil the fun, right? So I'll see you in a few seconds.